Hello all you magical folk, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Today we are looking at unpopular Harry Potter opinions. I'm going to be reading a few that I found on the internet and I'm going to be reacting to these unpopular opinions and seeing what they're all about. I have found 23 unpopular Harry Potter opinions on BuzzFeed, so I'm going to be going through each one, probably not all of them because we will be here all day, but yeah, I'll be going through a fair few of these to see what they're all about. So if you would like to see some unpopular Harry Potter opinions, then do keep on watching. Also, if you are new to my channel guys, then why not click the subscribe button to become part of my little magical community, and don't forget to click the notification bell to be notified of every video that I upload. Okay, so unpopular Harry Potter opinions. Like I said, I won't go through all 23 of them. I will pick out a fair few of them to go through and then we will see what we have. So the first one is that Neville should have been the chosen one. Neville is better than Harry. Neville is more caring, courageous and dependable. Harry did a lot of the legwork because he was labelled the chosen one, but Neville was the one who destroyed the final Horcrux in the end, allowing Voldemort to be killed. I don't agree. No, I don't. I'm sorry. Neville was a great character and he progresses so much throughout the entirety of the films. And yeah, he was a massive help to Harry in killing Nagini in the final film. But do I think Neville should have been deemed the chosen one? No. I think Harry was stronger from the start, braver from the start, and I don't think Neville would have been able to survive everything that Harry went through. Obviously Harry was the one in the beginning obviously that faced Voldemort. He ended up with a scar. I don't know what the situation would have been had Voldemort gone to Neville's home and tried to kill Neville. I don't know if the scenario would have been the same, if there would have been the same protection of Neville that there was of Harry. I don't deny that his parents would have sacrificed themselves to save Neville. Any parent would. But I don't know if the situation would have been the same if Voldemort had gone to Neville's house that night rather than Harry's. I mean, yeah, Harry did get a lot of help throughout his time looking for Horcruxes. He got a lot of help throughout his entirety of going through Hogwarts, to be fair. But Neville would have needed the same help from his friends that Harry had from his. No one could have done what Harry had done single-handedly. Harry needed Ron and Hermione. Neville would have needed Dean and say Seamus, I suppose. I think they're the ones that he's more close to, I suppose, throughout the films. So he would have needed someone's help along the way as well. So to say that Neville deserved to be the chosen one over Harry, I don't think is fair. Okay, number 2, Fred and George are overrated. I've never cared for Fred and George. I know fans love them for their jokes, tricks and wittiness, and they were devastated when Fred died, but I just didn't have any attachment to them. I kind of agree with that. I didn't have the great attachment to Fred and George that I know some other people that have had that. I mean, don't get me wrong, when Fred died in the last film, I was devastated. I was really gutted, and I think that would have had a massive effect, not only on his entire family, but especially his twin brother. I mean, can you imagine having a twin and then losing them? It would be a massive hole in your life, and I felt really awful in that moment that George lost his twin. I do think that Fred and George provided a lot of comedy throughout the films. They would definitely had moments where they were really funny, but they also had moments where they were quite irritating as well. Like, I think they had a lot of the stereotypical twin moments where they would finish each other's sentences or just say the same sentence together at the same time. And I was just like, it's a little bit on the cliche side. So that part of their characters kind of irritated me a little bit. But overall, I think Fred and George were really great characters. But yeah, I do think sometimes they can be a little bit overrated. Sorry. The next one we're going to go for is Hermione should have ended up with Malfoy. On what planet would that have been a scenario? So it says, I think that Malfoy and Hermione fought so much because of all the sexual tension between them. Yes, Malfoy said some really mean things to her, but that's because of what his parents told him. You believe what your parents say when you're young and don't really form your own independent opinions until you're older. Malfoy and Hermione are like-minded people who are intelligent and enjoy the same things. He would have appreciated a strong, ambitious woman like Hermione, unlike Ron. I really think that Malfoy and Hermione would have been a good fit together. No. No. I'm not saying that Hermione and Ron were the absolute perfect couple. I definitely think that they had some flaws in their relationship also. But to say Hermione and Malfoy were a better match, no. For one, I don't think Malfoy's parents would have allowed it at all. Can you imagine Malfoy bringing Hermione home and saying, this is my muggle-born girlfriend? His dad would have gone ballistic. There would have been no chance in hell that would have been allowed. Also, Malfoy said some vile, vile things to Hermione throughout the entire time that they were in school together. And whilst they may have fancied each other, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. You know, Malfoy's a good-looking boy, Hermione's a beautiful girl. They definitely could have been attracted to each other, but would they have made a good couple? No. No, they wouldn't. Sorry, but no. Okay, so the next one. Harry and Ginny should have named their child something else. Using the names Albus Dumbledore, the world's most manipulative wizard, and Severus Snape as an abusive teacher who wanted to hook up with Harry's mum was a mistake, especially when there were better wizards who actually helped Harry to name them after, like Arthur Weasley, Remus Lupin, Alistair Moody, Neville Longbottom, Aberforth Dumbledore, etc. Honouring two men who weren't all that great kind of disrespects the men who actively tried to make Harry's life better and easier. That I do agree with. I can't lie. There's a big thing with the whole Snape situation where people think that Snape redeemed himself, that Snape really did love Harry all along, that Snape was this amazing, amazing person. I don't agree. He was abusive. We can't deny that. He's seen throughout the entirety of the films hitting kids over the head with books. He actually physically shoves a few of the kids as well. He takes points off them unnecessarily. He's verbally abusive. So yeah, I totally think that Snape was not an evil guy through and through, but definitely not a great person to name your child after. Now, Harry had a lot more positive influences in his life, like Hagrid, Sirius, Lupin, even Arthur Weasley. I agree with Arthur as well. He's probably not as big a character in the films as you see, but obviously Harry does have a very good relationship with Mr. Weasley, so I think that naming his child maybe after Arthur would have been a better situation than Snape. But yeah, I definitely think more people like Hagrid or Lupin, Harry probably should have named his kids after them over Snape. And even Dumbledore, I think that Albus, there were definitely times where Dumbledore held back from Harry and didn't tell him everything that was going on and kind of manipulated certain situations with Harry, where I feel like he could have just been upfront and explained certain things, and then Harry would have been more in the know of what was going on. He would have understood more. There would have been a lot less confusion with certain things for Harry. And yeah, I think that there were definitely wizards that were more of an influence in Harry's life in a positive way than Dumbledore and Snape. That's just my opinion. Sorry, don't shoot me. Okay, I think this person must have been a Hufflepuff. Whoever wrote these must have been a Hufflepuff, because the next one is Hufflepuff is the best house. So it says Gryffindors can have huge egos and be foolhardy, whatever that means. I actually never heard that word before. Ravenclaws can be know-it-all. I won't say that word. And Slytherins can be dishonest and conniving, but the vast majority of Hufflepuffs are kind, smart and extremely capable, and don't boast about it at all. They are just low-key great people who, mind you, never swayed to the dark arts. I never understood why everyone thinks so little of them. Now, I kind of agree with that. Hufflepuffs are a massively undervalued house. I don't get why they don't get as much appreciation as Gryffindors and Slytherins, but I also feel that true of my own house, Ravenclaws. We don't get the credit, I think, sometimes that we deserve as a house, but I also think that all four houses are great, great houses and have some great people in their individual houses. Slytherin get a rough deal, I think, sometimes because everyone assumes that just because you're a Slytherin, it automatically makes you an evil person. It doesn't automatically make you an evil person. I think people think that a lot of Gryffindors are up their own tushies. I also think they think that of Ravenclaws, because Ravenclaws are deemed as the intelligent ones. Not all Ravenclaws are like know-it-all bookheads. I definitely have that sort of streak in me. I definitely love to read, and I definitely have, I know from like my time of being in school, I was very much into schoolwork. I enjoyed schoolwork and I did fairly well within school. But would I say that I'm vastly intelligent and love to learn things? Not always. It depends on the subject, I suppose. If there's a subject that I really am interested in, then yeah, I'll learn everything about it, and I really, really enjoy doing that. But I'm not the atypical, intelligent, perfect Ravenclaw that people think that Ravenclaws are. I'm more of the creative side of the Ravenclaw sort of traits. With Hufflepuffs, I feel like, I mean, they are the only house that has never produced a dark wizard, so that's something that's, you know, great for them. They are very caring, they are very loyal. Yeah, I think they're a great house, and I definitely think that they deserve more credit where it's due. But do I feel like the other three houses are bad houses? Definitely not, no. Okay, the next one is Luna Lovegood is the best character. Kind of agree in some ways, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of characters to me in the Harry Potter universe that are great characters, and Luna is 100% one of my top characters. She is amazing. It says on here that she's unique, understanding, selfless, fights for her friends, and is kind to everyone, no matter what, despite all she's been through. Yeah, I can't disagree with it. Luna is an amazing character. She is a very sweet, loyal person. She's very selfless. She does have this way of looking at the world through, I suppose, rose-tinted glasses, but that's something that's a really endearing quality in her, I think. She's batty as they come, but I love that as well. One of my favourite quotes is from Alice in Wonderland, where Alice asks her father, is she mad? And he replies, yeah, you're bonkers, but all the best people are. And I think that's definitely something that I appreciate. I do think that people that are a little bit on the bonkers side, a little bit loopy-loo, pretty much like myself, to be honest, I definitely have some loopy-loo moments, and I love that. I think that's a really fun and energetic quality in a person, and I think that's just Luna to a T. So yeah, I do agree with Luna being one of the best characters. Okay, so the next one is Draco Malfoy deserved better. Draco Malfoy deserved a redemption arc far more than Snape did. Yes, he was a bit of a... I can't say some of these words. This person has some naughty vocabulary. But that was because he was influenced by his parents, who were terrible. He was forced into joining Voldemort's side and becoming a Death Eater, along with plenty other Slytherins. You can see his true nature in the later films. He's just a scared boy who doesn't have much say in what he can and cannot do. The only reason Harry and Malfoy hated each other was because of their initial meeting in the Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone. Had that not occurred, I believe they could have been pretty good friends. This one again is hard for me. I do think that Malfoy's influences had a massive thing with him being the person that he was. Obviously his father was a Death Eater, his father was a massive coward, and yeah, a downright horrible dad in my opinion. So yeah, Draco never really stood much of a chance from the off. He definitely did deserve more of a redemption story, I feel like. Obviously in the end you do see Malfoy kind of step back from his father and obviously from Voldemort, but ends up, because his mother says to him, you know, come with us, that he does end up going back over to Voldemort's side. But you can see there's a reluctance there. He doesn't want to do what he's asked to do. He isn't the all-round bad guy that we kind of see in the earlier films, where he's a lot more cocky, he's a lot more laddish, and as the films progress you see Draco's personality and confidence dwindle because of what's going on around him. I think there was actually a scene as well, I could be wrong because there are different sort of like rumours going around with this, that there's a scene that was cut out of the Deathly Hallows Part 2 where Draco tosses Harry his wand after Harry comes back to life in that last film. So that kind of shows Draco's redemption in that way, and I suppose that being cut out of the film, if it was, is a little bit disappointing, because it would have been nice to see Draco do that 360 turn and actually align himself with Harry in that last film, and I think that would have been a great thing for Malfoy's character. I don't think that Draco Malfoy is the all-round evil guy that we all kind of assume that he is. I do think that as the films progress, he sort of sees more about what's going on around him, who his parents are, who his influences have been, and I think that he starts to sort of turn on that and think, no, I don't want this, I want to be a nice person, I want to be someone that does the right thing, and he just doesn't get that chance, unfortunately, which is a really big shame. Okay, this one's quite funny. So Harry deserved his detention in the Order of the Phoenix, but not the abusive punishment. I agree with this. I'm not gonna lie. Harry, obviously in that scene with Dolores Umbridge, where he's answering back constantly to everything she says, whilst I agree with what he's saying, that's still his teacher, and he should have respect for his teacher. He should have just kept his mouth shut and thought to himself, you know what, she's not gonna understand what I'm saying, she's clearly against me for this. You're not going to win by arguing with her, and also she's your teacher, you need to have respect and just keep your mouth zipped. So yeah, 100% he deserved that detention. If you're going to back chat to your teacher so much like that, then yeah, you're going to get a detention. So that 100% was justified in my opinion. But yeah, no, the abusive punishment that he received obviously was not warranted. You know, you can't abuse your students. But yeah, the detention initially definitely deserved. Sorry, Harry, but yeah. The next one is Harry and Ginny's relationship wasn't believable. We never got any romantic tension between Harry and Ginny. The movie seemed to rely on the hope that people who were watching the movies had also read the books and who would be able to fill in the gaps themselves. I agree with that, definitely. The relationship between Harry and Ginny in the books goes a lot more in depth than the films. In the films, you kind of see Harry lusting after Cho, and then all of a sudden he's like Ginny, and you're like, where was that flip? It was, I think more so I noticed it in the Half-Blood Prince, I think it was, where it's at Slughorn's party and Hermione's like, oh, Ginny's been crying over Dean, and then you see Harry being a bit miffed and you're thinking, is it just because that's his best friend's sister and he's kind of protecting her? But then all of a sudden there's this romantic interest. You're like, where does that come from? Unless you've read the books, you don't know where that relationship kind of stems from. It just all of a sudden seems to go from your best friend's sister to, oh my god, I need to marry this woman, she's amazing. And you're like, there was no transition for me. And I definitely think there should have been more of that in the films than was actually portrayed. So yeah, I do agree with that one. Okay, so the next one is Hagrid did more for Harry than Sirius Black. Sirius got all of the credit for being Harry's only parental figure, when really it was Hagrid who was the only consistent parental figure in his life. The difference was that Sirius acted similarly to how a stereotypical father figure would, which earned him all of the credit. Meanwhile, Hagrid took on the more maternal role, which got him less credit. Also, Sirius was always very selfishly motivated and really had Harry's best interest at heart. I don't fully agree with that one. I think that Sirius definitely, in his short time being with Harry, definitely took on a very fatherly role with him. I definitely agree that Hagrid was a massive influence in Harry's life, and Hagrid from the get-go, from obviously seeing Harry as a one-year-old baby, instantly took to Harry and had a lot of feelings towards Harry and loved Harry unconditionally. Hagrid never asked Harry for anything. Hagrid never expected anything from Harry. He just loved him for who he was. He wanted to protect him, he wanted to be there for him, and yeah, I think that Hagrid was a massive influence in Harry's life, and I don't think he got enough credit. But I do think in that short time that Harry and Sirius spent together, Sirius was definitely there for Harry. He definitely took Harry under his wing. He definitely wanted to make Harry more aware of what was going on around him, rather than trying to keep him in the dark like everyone else seemed to want to do. Sirius wanted Harry to be in the know, so he knew what best to do and knew how to fight whatever it was coming up. So I definitely think that Sirius deserved his fatherly figure role with Harry, but yeah, I definitely agree that Hagrid was kind of pushed to one side with that. The next one is Voldemort actually had the saddest backstory. Okay, so the saddest character in the whole series was Voldemort. After reading The Half-Blood Prince, his backstory broke my heart and I understood his hatred. His actions were inexcusable and heinous, but I think they were rooted in hurt and tragedy more than pure evil. That's a difficult one again, isn't it? Because I kind of agree. His backstory is horrible. Obviously, he was conceived under the effects of amortentia, so he is actually incapable of love. And also his entire sort of life history is very sad and very hurtful. So I can kind of see how and why he ends up the way that he ends up. But does it fully excuse him? No, it doesn't. You know, I know it's hard because obviously in the real world, I think that people that are abused as children and are, you know, they grow up in really, really horrible situations. Some people can turn out really, really well in those circumstances. But obviously in the wizarding world, it's different because he was conceived under the effects of a love potion and bad things kept happening throughout his life. And I just think that whilst I understand why he became evil, do I think maybe he could have fought it a little bit more? Maybe. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how strong the effects of the love potion would have been against his personality would have been. So it may have just been inevitable that he was going to become the Dark Lord and there was nothing that he or anyone else in his life could have done to stop that happening. But yeah, I definitely do have a twinge of sadness for him. He wasn't given a good, ride. He really wasn't. He kind of like Draco, he wasn't given any opportunity to be a nice person. He was continuously fed hurt and pain and evil and anguish, and I just think that, yeah, he had no chance, basically. Okay, I'm gonna end it on this one because it's one that I wholly disagree with, but I will go through it with you. So basically it says that the movies are better than the books, and this person has said, I know they removed things that were in the books, changed some plots, blah blah blah, but when you take the books on their own and the movies on their own, the movies are just better. No, they're not. I'm sorry, but as a Ravenclaw and as a massive, massive fan of the Harry Potter books, it was the books that I first fell in love with, not the films, and I can't accept that the films were better than the actual books themselves. There were some massive things that the books had in them that the films just kind of left out, and I was gutted. I remember actually going to see the Goblet of Fire and having the maze task in my brain and then watching the maze task play out, and I was just like, where has all that gone? They didn't put the Sphinx in. It was just, it felt so smushed in, like they thought to themselves, oh crap, we've got to put this maze scene in, where are we gonna, right, we could just shove it in, get him in the maze, get him to the cup, and get him to Voldemort. And you're like, but there was so much more to that maze than what they actually showed. I was gutted. It was actually one of my favourite parts to read of the Goblet of Fire, was the maze task. It was such a thrilling part of the book, and I was gutted that they left most of it out of the actual task itself. And there's also a lot of other parts in the books that they kind of left out. And, you know, I was sat in the cinema waiting for those parts to happen, and then they just didn't, and I was just like, it was gutting. It really, really was gutting. But do I love the films? Yes. And if I take the books away, and if I hadn't read the books prior to going to see the films, do I think the movies were amazing? Yes, I do. Even reading the books and watching the movies, I think they're great, great movies. But I just think that the books definitely explain a lot more. The books definitely had a lot more in them. And a lot of the character development, I feel, is in the books but not in the films. So sometimes you see characters doing something and you're like, where has that kind of come from? There's been no development of that we've seen. But if then you go back and read the book, you see that development happen and you're like, ah, right, okay, that now makes more sense. So I definitely think that the books are better than the movies. Sorry. So that was my opinions on the unpopular Harry Potter opinions. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video. I did. I think some of these opinions are really, really fun to discuss and go through. So yeah, if you agree with me or if you don't agree with me, if you have any opinions of yourself, please pop them in the comments down below. I will reply to as many people as I possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a magical thumbs up so I know that you're enjoying my content. And also don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any more magical videos from me. I hope you're enjoying the rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.